All right. How's everybody doing tonight? This is Sincere with Anon Radio Live in the All Rights Matter show. We have a special show coming from you tonight. I know it's been a couple weeks since we've publicly spoken with Brandon, so we wanted to bring Brandon Curtis, the head of the Idaho 3 Percenters, live on air to go ahead and, give us an update as far as what's going on. There's a lot of drama happening right now with, people being arrested now. So we're talking about we're, a few weeks removed from the end of the standoff, and the federal authorities are still, going into people's homes without warrants and are arresting people. And this is turning into just a crazy mess. So let's go ahead and bring Brandon on. Are you there, Brandon?
I'm here. How you doing?
Okay, Brandon. Excuse me. I actually just got done eating. I just ran to the thing here because I know we had to get started. We had everybody waiting. So how are you doing tonight?
We're doing okay. We're hanging in there. It's been a rough couple days with all the arrests going on, and we had 4 of our own here in Idaho picked up yesterday.
Yeah, it's been actually a lot, and I know I've been ripping and running all day and doing a ton of things, and I know you have been doing quite a few things yourself, and we've been in recent communication because of that very reason that you've had 4 of your own actually picked up within the last 24 hours. So can you give us a little bit of information about those 4 individuals and what their current status is? I mean, do they have bail, or what's going on with their situation right now?
Sure. So we had 4 of our members were picked up yesterday by the FBI. Eric Parker, our vice president, he was pulled over by the FBI on a traffic stop on his way to work yesterday morning. Stephen Stewart, who lives in the same county as Eric, they actually came to his house and took him into custody while he had his children. We had Scott Drexler was picked up while he was at work yesterday. And here's the most interesting one. One of our other members, Todd Engel, up in Coeur d'Alene, he was actually at his office with a client in the conference room when the FBI showed up to take him into custody, and it was thought by the office staff that the FBI actually had set themselves up as clients to bring Todd into the conference room so he would be there for sure. So they set him up.
Wow. So they're not stopping at anything to make sure that they apprehend those who they want to apprehend. Now, Eric, Steven, Scott, and Todd, that's 4 people, and they're all a part of the Idaho 3 Percenters. Is that correct?
Yes, they are a part of our organization. Eric is actually my vice president.
Okay, all right. And that's Eric Parker?
Eric Parker, correct.
Okay. All right, and their current status is they're all still detained as of right now.
Yes, they are. And they had their arraignment hearings today. They just covered the charges. What they were told is if they are convicted on all the charges, they're looking at a minimum of 55 years and a maximum of 3 life sentences.
Okay, 55 years for all the charges accumulated?
Correct. If they're convicted.
Or 3 life sentences?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do we know what those charges
detention
are?
hearings will be next week. It's for the 3 guys being held in Boise, it's going to be on Wednesday of next week, and for Todd Engel, who's being held in Coeur d'Alene, it'll be on Thursday.
Okay. All right. Now, do we know what their actual charges are as of this moment? I mean, have they released the paperwork as far as, for them to be able to know the amount of years, they actually, they have to know what the charges are then.
Yeah, they were charged. There was a 36-page criminal complaint that was released yesterday by the U.S. Marshal's Office and the DOJ. On that 36-page criminal complaint was the 4 names of our individuals, as well as Jerry DeLamus out of New Hampshire was arrested yesterday. We have the other two Bundy brothers, Davy and Mel, were also arrested yesterday. Joe O'Shaughnessy, who was already arrested once in Burns, Oregon, was rearrested yesterday at his home for this criminal complaint, which is all tied back to the Bundy Ranch. They did a total of 12 arrests yesterday, and there's 14 total people charged, because 2 of those people that were charged are still in custody in Portland, Oregon.
Wow. So they did a total of 12 arrests yesterday.
Yes, and we have, from what I understand, the FBI has confirmed there's 2 more arrests done this evening. They won't confirm where or give any information on it, but they did confirm 2 more people were arrested this evening as well.
So this is like just a kind of a no-holds-barred situation for the FBI. They're just, this situation with the Bundy Ranch, this is a couple years ago now. So we're talking about, at any given time, they could have, of course, especially like people like Todd Engel, they could have stopped him at his business or went to his house and talked to him. But they waited until this situation, to the Burns, Oregon situation happened at the refuge, to start rounding people up, for things from before. That sounds like lawlessness to me.
Well, and I agree with you. It's almost like it's a reverse vigilante, if you will. It just seems like a long stretch. I believe the total charges, there was 10 or 12 charges on that charging document yesterday that was filed in the court, and it's just unbelievable. Things like extortion. They showed up at my vice president's house this evening. The U.S. Marshal's office showed up at Eric Parker's house this morning with a search warrant and took his weapons. I mean, what is this about? I mean, it's just the overreach is getting to the point where they want to make such an example out of patriots to shut anyone down in the future to stand up and have a voice. They're doing this because they want control and power, and they want to scare patriots. They want to scare anyone who wants to stand up for their rights, even if you're not a patriot and you just want to stand up for your rights. What if you want to stand up for your children's rights at school? Is this how they're going to treat you? Are they going to come and knock your door down and take you to prison?
Well, as a video I put out on my YouTube the other day, that's exactly what they're doing in school now. They're now putting their hands on our children, and slapping them and kicking them around, and that's what we're looking at now. This is turning into a complete law enforcement is in every section of your life. From the time that you wake up and leave out of your house in the morning until the time that you get back home. And I think it's going to get so bad where we're just going to start seeing it in all the elementary schools, all the daycares, everywhere you can think of. This will be our way of life, because people don't understand that our constitutional rights are under attack. Our freedom of speech is quickly leaving at this point in time, and our right to bear arms. It's been under attack, but now it's getting to a point now where, they're just walking in people's houses and taking your guns.
Yeah, and on what basis? A lot of people know Eric's story, as far as he's been coined as the man on the bridge, the sniper on the bridge, the Bundy sniper, all these different coined terms. But people really need to talk to him and understand why he was in that position and what transpired that day. And what was happening was he was walking down the interstate to get down into the wash where everybody else was, and he had heard the BLM law enforcement agents come over the PA system in a loudspeaker and use the words, "We've been green-lighted to use lethal force. We will start shooting you if you move any further." So the first thing he did, because he was also aware that there was 2 snipers up on the hill above him. He already had seen them in the spotting scope. So what he had done is he dropped down behind that concrete Jersey barrier for cover, and that's a defensive posture, because they had just said over the loudspeakers publicly they were going to kill innocent civilians.
Yeah. If you take a step any closer, we can shoot and kill you. And that's just nonsense, absolute nonsense. So, Eric Parker, they've definitely been wanting him for a while now, and I believe they're using this situation at the refuge from Oregon to really bolster their case. I mean, to me, it's looking like a complete shutdown. What they want to do is they want to shut down the whole movement. And they want to make a very broad, loud statement in doing so, and letting folks know that we can find you and we can touch you at anywhere and any time and interrupt your life, even if it's years later.
Exactly. And what they need to understand is that by them taking these sort of actions, acting lawlessly, and arresting people on trumped-up charges, and showing up to arrest somebody. Here's what I don't understand. This is something that they've been investigating for almost 2 years. This situation happened almost 2 years ago. So they show up with force to take someone into custody without a warrant, and then they file their criminal complaint after the fact. How is that even legal and constitutional? It's not. But they are able to do it because in their minds they can do what they want and they're exempt. But my point is, if they continue to do this, and the way they're going about doing these things, it's building the patriot movement. It's making us larger. It's making us stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking yesterday on radio and having an interview with Shannon Liberty, as she is now coined. But we were talking about, this whole situation, and that's what's going to start happening. People are going to really start coming together, and it's not going to just make the patriot movement stronger and more resilient. It's going to make all the networks that are affiliated with each other stronger, more resilient, and have unity with one another. And, with that being said, I spoke to a gentleman the other day, Jerry, and he put out some great information on Facebook, and we had a great conversation. And one of the key topics we talked about is withdrawal. And, I believe that's something that I'm going to start talking about a lot more often as well. Is it's time to withdraw from this system of doing things. There's a lot more of us than there is of them. Okay, and the government is supposed to work with our consent, the consent of the governed. Okay, and everything that we're seeing happening now is not with our consent. We are not consenting to these lawless practices unless we stand by and allow them to happen, and we keep participating in this kind of a economy and this kind of way of life. So I believe, the time is drawing very near where we're going to have that unity and that organizational structure that starts to bring cohesiveness, to everybody, so that we can safely withdraw from, withdraw our consent from these people, because this is not our government. We don't know these people. This is a foreign entity. These are people that don't abide by the Constitution. They don't care anything about it. It's just a technical document to them.
Yeah, and it's a technical document that they don't seem and believe they need to follow. And what the federal government needs to be reminded of is that they were put in place to answer to the states. They were in place to answer to the people, we the people. The states are sovereign. The states are to oversee the federal government. The federal government was put in place to ensure us as Americans safety and security on international issues, the borders, immigrants and refuge situations, international trades and exports. That was their role. That's why they were here, and they were supposed to answer to the states. And that balance has shifted to where the federal government, instead of working under our consent, now they're telling us we need their consent to live, to work. They have infiltrated themselves. They have taken control of our schools, ranching, farming, industry, states, and the list goes on and on. Absolutely. And that's not how it was set up by design.
No, you broke that down perfectly too, and it's not supposed to be designed this way, and that's what we've noticed is they've shifted their power, and the paradigm of control is it's at the top now. There's nobody at the bottom that's able to control the show anymore, and I think the cool thing is if we get this thing fast enough, and if we understand what's going on fast enough, and we bring this cohesiveness about fast enough, then what needs to happen will happen. There's not any one unifying voice at the bottom, of this pyramid that they've set up that needs to make things happen. We all need to make things happen. We all have great ideas. We all have different capabilities, of rebuilding the kind of lives that we want. And we don't have to keep going through with this lawlessness. These people are taking money from us every week out of our checks. Income tax, man, that's a fraud-based system,
Yeah.
And we're participating in it. We all participate in it. We have to stop participating in these things so that we can stop funding the corruption. And until we get there and understand that, we still have a long way to go. So hopefully people will see through the lawlessness of the government through their current actions and running around just ramping up and arresting people and, kicking in doors and going into people's businesses and taking people out while they're with their clients. Hopefully people will see from that this is something that's not going to stop. Soon your very thought process will be criminal in nature, and they'll be kicking in your door for your thoughts.
Well, and you're exactly right. People are going to have to say we've had enough and take a stand. And, we've talked about it many times, Sherrod, that now is the time for people to unite together, unify as one, to be one voice. If you believe that our rights are being eroded, I don't care what your religion is, your culture, your color, your race, wherever you're from. It doesn't matter, because we all need to come together as one, put aside our personal differences, because if you can't get over petty personal differences to fight for a bigger cause that's bigger than any of us, and that's our rights that are being taken away daily, as we've been seeing happen, and we're seeing it happen almost daily right now with all these arrests they're doing, and they're taking people into custody for crimes that they're claiming, are questionable at best, and just doing what they want to do. We've seen them swoop in and take over an entire community in Burns, Oregon, with MRAPs and Bearcats and full tactical gear. I mean, if that doesn't open your eyes and help people realize that we need to come together as one and put differences of opinions aside and realize this is a much bigger thing than myself or you or any one person or any one group or any one organization, because if we continue to let the divide happen, they've already won.
Oh, yeah.
That Constitution knows no religion, knows no color, no race. That Constitution stands for every United States every United States citizen in this country. And are we going to stand for it, or are we going to keep being pushed around?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to right now. We can't continue to be pushed around and act like it's okay. And the Constitution, especially the Constitution that we honor and abide by now, that includes everybody. And
correct.
The quicker we understand that this thing is just really about our rights, what the government doesn't want us to understand is that, we have rights that you can't take away, and they're God-given rights, and they don't want us to even use the word rights. They like when we talk with the word law, because they create the law. So, what we have now is a blurring of rights and law, and they're allowing their man-made law to supersede our God-given rights. If we allow that to happen, then, we deserve everything that's coming to us. And that's another reason why we can't become a godless nation, a godless country. Every country, every superpower on the face of the world has a religion that's, the head of their country. If we're the first people to abolish our head religion of Christianity, forget the Constitution. Forget about it. You don't need it anymore, because those God-given rights don't count anymore. Why? Because you've abolished God. So without, getting spiritual, we have to be spiritual, because this is a a battle of wickedness in high places. These people know no boundaries. They think that they're God, and that's why they impose such force on you without any kind of recourse.
Absolutely, it's they're the Goliath, and we as the people and the American citizens are the David, and we're going to have to face this giant Goliath, and it's going to be a long road to hoe, but I know we can do it. And the only way we can do it, like you said, we got to get back to the foundation. And this country was founded on having God in it, and your beliefs and your spiritual beliefs, and it's all over. It's in the Constitution. It's in all our founding fathers' documents. Things they've discussed, things that are well documented, all revolve around that.
That's right.
And if you take God out of that, you're absolutely right. Those God-given rights are no longer protected because the Constitution doesn't give us our rights. It guarantees our rights. It secures our rights.
Yeah,
and those rights are unalienable rights given to us by God.
That's right. And I'm just going to put it out there. This is for all my people out there that like this guy Obama and stuff. Like, man, come on, stop playing. Like, at the end of the day, you can know them by their fruit. And if you look at Obama and you look at his gold Muslim cloth behind him while he gives his speeches, you realize that when these politicians and these people say that they're Christians, they do it for the same purpose that Donald Trump lies for. It's for business. It's for the effect. It's for the illusion. It's to get what they want. So the policies that we've seen passed in the 8 last years, they're not conducive of somebody that's a Christian. Look at everything this man has passed. It has been a direct assault on God himself. And that's what this really boils down to. So without getting too deep and making you feel the dread too much, I'm putting it out there and I'm letting folks know that are listening and viewing. That's what this is. This is lawlessness at the top. And this is coming from your president. And even above him, he's a puppet still too. So
absolutely,
we have, you're right, Brandon, we have a very, very long fight ahead of us. But it's a worthwhile fight because when we look at our children, we don't want to see them walking around like government drones. Every facet of their life being monitored, controlled. Every thought and every word they say, monitored, controlled. That's not what we're here for as a people. That has, that's in violation of all of our rights. If we do that to our children and their children, then we failed.
Absolutely.
And this is something we can't afford to fail. We can't get this wrong. We have to do this right. We cannot afford as a nation, and at the expense of our freedoms, to get this wrong. We have to get it right, and the only way we're going to get it right is if this nation comes together and takes a stand and takes our country back to a constitutional republic state. Yeah. It's the only way it's going to work. Now, let's, I absolutely agree with you. You're right. We have to get back to that state where we're a constitutional republic and republic again. Now, listen, we talked about that. I believe I had told you earlier, too, when we talked before this interview, that I had done that interview. And I think that's something we're going to have to start focusing on a lot more, too, when we have our conversations. And maybe we can get Deb Jordan back on and Staff Sergeant Mo and a few others and do like a big conference call, because we're going to have to talk about this republic. Because if we don't get back to it, and if we don't withdraw our support from these rogue tyrannical figures that are running our country right now, then we can't get any progress. So I believe we're going to have a lot more discussion about that in the future, and bring some more people in on that, so we can have we can start really setting some things up and start controlling the narrative, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you break it down to where we start working on people that are in the movement, there's a ways to create your own economy. We discussed that before on your show.
Yeah.
How that could look and how we could do that. And those are the type of forward-thinking thoughts that we need to start having. How can we be self-sufficient? Are we prepared to do that? Are we be prepared to have our own economy and look at things differently and move forward in that type of fashion? That's the only way it's going to work. We can't stay in this rut and this mundane life and just letting things pass us by. These ridiculous laws, they're suppressing our freedoms. They're oppressing us in the tyrannical, heavy-handed government. We have Pete Santelli who's locked up for exercising his First Amendment right. That's all he did. And he's still sitting in a federal holding facility in Portland, Oregon for exercising his First Amendment right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key, too. A federal facility. So their ability to hold you a lot longer is ridiculous. And anybody knows that, if you interrupt your life by 30 days, that's a lot. But what happens when you start interrupting your life just being held in limbo for a year? And that's the power of the federal government, and that's why we have to start withdrawing our support from them now and not follow these ridiculous laws so that we're not held accountable to these ridiculous laws. And I appreciate you actually bringing up that financial point. We do need to, really, and I'll key in on that since you actually brought it up. What Brandon is actually talking about for everybody that's listening is a concept that we've had for a few shows now that we've been talking about, and we're actually going to try to kick this thing off here eventually. We have to put a lot of things together, but it's as simple as this. They're taking all of your money, and they're taking it without asking. Like we've already stated, the income tax system, false. It's fraudulent, built with corruption. It's an overbearing thing. It's not even supposed to be on all of us like this. And it's just a way for them to buy all the goodies that they want and take all of our money. And they're doing it to the tunes of billions and even trillions of dollars a year. Now, if we just take a piece of that, which is our money, so we're not taking anything from anybody because it's our money. But if we take 1 million people and they just take $1 a day for a year, 365 days, then they're going to come up with $365 million. That's $1 a day from 1 million people for a whole year. That's $365 million. And what Brandon is talking about, and what we've talked about on the other shows is you can build community centers with that. You can build your own doctor's offices, your own lawyers. Now you don't have to worry about that public defender that is not working in your favor. And then when situations like this happen and the Hammonds get locked up, they can have better representation because it's already there. So we need to really get into this mindset and this way of thinking. And I may not have come up with the idea, but I've definitely worked towards the idea for a long enough time. So when it was presented to me, I heard it off of a recording a while ago, a Tupac recording. And this is something that Tupac actually wanted to do. And it's something he wanted to do, honestly, for the African American people because of all the violence and the corruption happening at the hands of the police force and us being subjected to the most tyranny from this government. So I've kind of taken that idea and that notion and said, you know what? We've evolved since 20-something years ago. And where we're at right now, the same concept applies, but it applies to people that are pissed off at their government. And it doesn't matter their race, religion, color, whatever. None of that matters. What really matters is the fact is, can we pull it off? Can we be self-sufficient? Can we bring back the right kind of constitutional, our rights instead of obeying all these laws? Can we bring that common law back? Can we really do these things? And I believe that we can if we have the right economic structure. And that's what Brandon was referring to. So for those that don't know, that's what we're actually talking about. And hopefully we'll be able to get up to a stance and position where we'll be able to market and promote that idea extensively, so that we can put ourselves into a place where we can take $365 million or more and actually do some things, actually open these community centers, actually buy thousands of acres of land where we can start our own communities and really start to build up in the way that, the way that America is supposed to be. So I believe that America really is looking for that kind of revolution and change. And I believe that we're in a time and we are just the people to be able to offer that kind of revolution and change, because it's going to take some forward-minded thinkers and some people that are just going to not take no for an answer.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the type of forward thinking that we're going to need to start doing, to start coming up with alternative ways to make a living, economy, how we go about doing things, and we're going to launch a campaign, the No Thank You campaign. No thank you BLM, no thank you Forest Service, no thank you tyranny. That's the campaign we're going to start, because we don't have to take it. We can say no thank you. We're free American citizens, and we intend to keep that right, and we're not going to allow it to be taken from me. Right. A good example, this evening, was it bad enough that they came and arrested 4 of our members at their homes, as well as others around the country last night? Mm-hmm. So that wasn't enough for them. So this evening they show back up to Eric Parker's house, where his wife is now with the children, mm-hmm. without her husband, and they want more. So then they serve a search warrant on the house to take all his firearms away, because the arrest wasn't enough for them. They want more. They want to come down with a heavier hand and take his firearms away. So they did that this evening.
So
what kind of country are we living in?
Were his children at the house this evening again?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Were his children at the house this evening again?
Yes, I'm positive they were.
So you're talking about a situation where, you're talking about a situation where, the federal government, when they just come in your house, they terrorize your children. And when children see this kind of activity and they see their parents entangled into this kind of activity, it leaves something behind in that child. It really does. And I believe the trauma that's left behind is something that, people should relate to and identify with, and try to understand. If you don't understand it, try to understand, because, imagine them coming in your home. I'm talking with tactical gear, however they decide they want to come in, pull up with military-style equipment to extract you, and, just completely blindsiding you off guard. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about militant federal officers that are extracting people from their homes and then coming back to re-terrorize the family again after the family's main protector is not even there. So that makes it twice as worse. So now these poor children and the wife are like, they feel no kind of security, no kind of comfort, no kind of protection. They feel just raw, like these people could come in here and do this at any time. And I believe that that's probably a tactic. It's a tactic,
Absolutely.
To put pressure on the wife and pressure on the family, if you will. And I hope that the family, the Parker family does not, that I hope that they see it for exactly what it is, a tactic. And, that's why it's so important we have to just withdraw our support from these people, because we can't sit here and keep fighting with them. We just have to not accept their laws and to start changing our own circumstances where we can make that happen. And then when we do that in mass numbers, that's what creates the kind of government that we want. It's about us doing it in mass numbers. They cannot govern us without our consent.
That's right.
And
you got to look at the way they're doing this. And we've talked about this before, how everyone out there, in I call keyboard warrior and keyboard commando world has been saying, well, where are you? Why haven't you protected, the guys at the refuge, Lavoie, and these people, and I'm already getting it today. Where was the militia to protect Eric? Do people need to understand how they're doing this? They conducted a traffic stop on Eric Parker while he was on his way to work. They're waiting till people are alone. We all go to work every day. Do we all go to work with an army with us every day? So these people that have this mindset of where were you are so unrealistic, and they need to wake the heck up.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, too, just happens to deal with the trolling of the situation, because you have a lot of people out here that want federalization. You have these plants, if you will, that are pushing this agenda, and they're skewing the truth of the situation on purpose. They don't want people to pay attention to what's really going on. They don't want to talk about it. So what they can do is, what they'd rather do is further the divide with irrelevant things like, where were you, when Eric Parker, the vice president, was arrested? Well, he's the vice president. At the end of the day, it's not like he's rolling around with a whole security detail when he's going to his regular everyday man job.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, these trolls and these people that think like trolls, some of these people are not trolls. They just think like a troll.
Exactly. Well, and what everyone needs to realize, including the federal government, they keep using tactics like that. That's how we're going to start rolling around in armies.
Yeah, eventually it will start being like that. And so when you do try to come extract somebody, you're going to have a very hard time of extracting anybody, because it's just not going to go down.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's that whole no thank you.
Yeah.
We don't have to say yes. We don't have to say take whatever you want. Since when can the federal government, the U.S. Marshal's Office, Department of Justice, the FBI, whatever it may be, since when can they show up and arrest somebody for a nonviolent crime that they claim is a crime 2 years ago, allegedly, and arrest you without a search warrant, without an affidavit of probable cause, without an order from a judge, and without even a criminal complaint filed?
Well, I think this is just a taste of what we're about to start seeing, because what they're going to start doing is they're going to lift this little thing called statute of limitations, and they've already been flirting with it a little bit, in throughout the media. And I noticed the rhetoric that they were using about three or 4 months ago with the Cosby situation, and the way that they were talking about the statute of limitations. And people were talking about, well, if we start playing with that, there's going to be a lot of cases where we start to really remove statute of limitations. And my thoughts were, okay, the people that want to, remove these things, they're already putting it out there so they can put it in people's minds, so folks will get behind the narrative. Oh, we have to remove the statute of limitations. And I'm sitting here saying no, 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 no. I'm not saying no because of the victims. I'm saying no because of the fact that when you remove the statute of limitations and you give that power to a lawless government, a government that does not care about you, they will start convicting you for crimes and making things up because they're lawless. They'll say that your mother or your father committed, stole a pack of gum back in 1972.
Exactly.
And back during that time, and then they'll go back and say, well, the law at that time was a mandatory minimum 5. This is how they're going to start skewing the law. And people,
well, they've already done that. They did that with the Hammonds. They charged them for their crimes. One happened 12 years prior, and one happened 6 years prior.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because the government was acting like a child, and they threw a temper tantrum because the Hammonds refused to sell the ranch to the federal government or give it to them, if you will, even, as they're trying to bully them and take their property, the government says, fine, we're going to throw a temper tantrum, and we're going to charge you for these bogus crimes that we completely lied about, and we completely were a part of a conspiracy in starting these fires, and we are going to now send you to prison, not once, but twice, for the same crime that they claim they committed. And people better start waking up. And as you can tell, Sherrod, as we have these conversations, I get more fired up, more emotion, because people need to understand we can't keep going down this path. The time is now to wake up and start being a voice, being a loud voice.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I'm actually I've been getting my mind ready, my body ready. I've gotten back into the gym now, and I've just been like on point every day, because I believe that the time is getting near where we're all going to have to be boots on the ground, because it's not going to be a choice.
Yep, I agree. And that's the other thing. You brought up a great point. You've got to prepare yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. And going to grab your guns is only about 10% of what's going to need to take place. There's a lot of preparation, a lot of training, a lot of getting yourself ready in all aspects of your life to become self-sustaining or take that stand when the time comes.
Yeah, and for you guys and girls out there that don't even, and this is going to, what I'm about to say is going to affect a lot of people, because they're going to look at their lives a lot differently. For you people that don't even own a medical kit in your house, in your medicine cabinet, you're the ones that are in the most trouble. You are in the most trouble. You are the least prepared if anything goes wrong. You don't have a if shit hits the fan plan. So you have to get your mind ready. You have to get your body ready. You have to prepare your household. You have to keep your temple prepared. So, and you have to do that in a self-sufficient way. You can't rely on this lawless government to provide you things. All of these government programs, these are all programs of control. It's all about control. They're literally giving you your own money back and then controlling you with your own money. That's the illusion of power. They really don't have any power. Everything that the government is doing for you, you're already providing to them. They are the middleman, and they've managed to make themselves as a middleman become the boss. And we've allowed that to happen because you allow the psyops to affect your mind. You allow it to affect your children's mind. Everybody's walking around with their daily programming, and we have to stop. We have to withdraw our consent from this madness. Turn off the TV, get out of the programs, stop being programmed, and learn what's really going on. Go print out a copy of the Constitution and read it a few times. Go listen to, as a matter of fact, get off of YouTube and go to C-SPAN and listen to some of, the things that are going on in Washington. You get an idea of what's going on yourself. Stop letting the media tell you what's being said. They take little 2 or 3 second clips out of, these events that happen, and then they give you these little 2 or 3 second clips, and they act like that's all that happened. No, you can go listen to the words of these people yourself, and then that way you can become actively involved. We need a revolution of people that are educated and that are going out here getting the right information, passing on the right information to other people to wake them up as well. So
absolutely, and the other thing that people got to realize is if you have small children or children in your home, you're responsible for them as well, and you better get things squared away that they're prepared as well. So if something happens, you have to take care of those children. And a lot of people don't think about the children and the pets and those sort of things in the household, but it's something that people need to keep on the forefront of their mind and be prepared for the entire family, not just yourself.
Absolutely. And everybody out there, if you listening to this, go to Google when you get done listening to this broadcast. Go to Google and type in a nano bottle, or type in nanotechnology water bottle. You need to figure out what these types of things are. They give, your money that goes to Congress is going to these third world nations who are getting inventions like this, but yet these aren't on American shelves. These nanotechnology bottles will save your life. That's what they're giving it to the third world countries for, so people that have dirty water, they can scoop this dirty water up, pump the bottle about 3 to 5 times, and pour out clean drinking water, regardless of what's in the water. So in times of need and in times of emergency, why aren't American households stocked with those? But yet you can find that 98% of Americans don't even know they exist. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, we got to get prepared, and we're so far from prepared. People don't even think about the fact that if anything goes wrong, how are you going to get water?
And it's sad that, more people are more concerned about sitting in the Starbucks drive-thru for coffee than preparing their family for a disaster or shit hits the fan scenario. And, you just drive down the road and look around you. People are just clueless. And it's time that we, who are working towards returning our country to a constitutional state, we have to start educating those people. We have to start reaching out. We have a responsibility to educate, and educate. And it's not just about grabbing your guns. I mean, one day that may come to that. That's fine. But we have to educate, and we have to help people understand what's coming down the pipe. Everyone's walking around this world. Not everybody, but a high majority of the people in this country are walking around with blinders on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now I want to also focus on these, I don't want us to lose track of these gentlemen that are actually, from your organization, Idaho 3%ers, that are going through what they're going through right now. Eric, Stephen, Scott, and Todd. That's Eric Parker, Stephen Stewart, Scott Drexler, and Todd Engel. What's the next plan for these gentlemen? I mean, what's going on? I'm sure you've been in contact probably with some of the family members. Are they going to be bailed out soon? What's the next step? What can you tell us about that?
Well, they have their arraignments today. So they are. Their detention hearing is next week, as we discussed. So until that detention hearing, we're not really sure what's going on with them. So what we've done is we've turned the focus to the families. We're going to step up and help take care of the families, do everything that we can. We're doing a huge drive to try to generate donations to help take care of the children that have been affected by this and the families. Because this is a huge hit. This is a huge hit to these families. Times are tough right now for a lot of people. So this is just another tactic by the feds to, like you hit on earlier. They want to drive the fear narrative so deep that they want people to be so scared that if we stand up, we're going to get crushed. So now we got to rely on our government. We got to rely on the feds. We got to bow down. So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to step up as an organization, and we're going to help take care of these families and do whatever we need to do to make sure that they continue to live a daily life. And that's what our responsibility is as patriots, brothers and sisters, and anyone in the movement. So that's the role that we're going to take. And in the meantime, we're going to be working on making sure that these guys have the right counsel. It sounds like they may be extradited to Nevada. We're not quite sure yet. We'll have a better idea of that on Wednesday with the hearings coming up on the detention hearing.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, we're definitely going to want to be keeping up with you regarding that, because you're right. These guys are going to need a lot of help. And from what you're saying here with this 55 years or 3 life sentences, we can't allow them to sit that long and, over things where nobody was hurt, no one was injured. Maybe the federal government's ego was bruised, but other than that, people expressing and standing up for their rights is something that needs to stop being criminalized. And we need to take back the narrative and get people to understand that when folks are standing up in unity together, even folks that don't know each other, and they're all standing up for the same purpose, that's called defending your rights. It's not called being a terrorist. It's not called being a bad American citizen. It's actually the opposite. It's called being a good American citizen and fighting for, what so many have died for. So many people, black and white and many other races, have died. Their blood is in this soil, the soil that we're standing on today. Their blood's in this soil so that we can have the proper level of rights that we're supposed to have. But yet every year we give more and more rights away. or we give more leeway to give more access to our rights, I should say, and we allow ourselves to start listening to laws instead of actually adhering to the rights that we have. So that's why so many people in society now are powerless, because they don't know where their own God-given power lies. So they're walking around their entire life as powerless human beings who are subjected to a government's will. And that's not how life is supposed to go. That's not how you're supposed to be raising your family, and that's not how your children should see the world. This world is a big, beautiful place, and the United States of America is somewhere where we can actually live our dreams. You know, if we allow the government to create division amongst us, so we're always fighting with one another and always holding each other back, then we'll never get to the real battle of actually fighting the person and the people that are actually holding us back. So, you know,
exactly.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Well, and you know, it all starts with taking the steps forward as a republic, as citizens of this country. You know, not one person can do it alone. It's going to take thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people to come together and knock this federal government back on its heels, so to say, and just say no more, no thank you. And we can do that. And we cannot be, you know, subservient to the federal government on their handouts. I mean, they've literally taken control in almost all aspects of our free living daily. They've taken control of our schools, our industries, our workplaces. You know, they've just inserted themselves everywhere, and that is not how it was done by design.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You are absolutely right. They've taken hold of everything. They're even to a point now where they're actually placing patents on DNA. I mean, I just saw a recent thing where they're reversing that practice, but this is something that they were actually doing, you know, up until recent. It was a standard practice. So they want control of everything, and we can't allow that to happen, and we're not going to allow it to happen. I know I refuse to allow it to happen with every breath in my body while I'm here on Earth, because I want to leave the right example for my children so that they know how to live freely and not live as slaves.
Yep, and you know, and a lot of people ask us why we do what we do. Why do you put yourself in harm's way? Why do you put yourself out there? Why are you taking these stands? And it's for our children. I want to ensure that my children, your children, all of our listeners' children have a secure future and get to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy before they start to be taken away from us.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm also, you know, I noticed something else here, just to switch gears a little bit. I wanted to focus in on this because I got a couple questions about this. People were a little bit concerned. Recently, there was an article out, I believe it was on MSN or something like that, and they were talking about, you know, they didn't make you look bad or anything like that. They were just pretty much saying that in the interview that you were just pretty much stating that there was an accident that had taken place where a 12-year-old was shot in the stomach, and she actually had to receive medical treatment. But, you know, folks were asking about how she was doing and that situation, and that everything was okay. And I just wanted to get you to comment on that before, you know, we close out the interview so folks can be updated as far as the condition of that young lady.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. She's doing well. You know, she was held in the hospital overnight. The gunshot wound was an accidental discharge. It truly was a situation that was just tragic. You know, the person that had the accidental discharge had his weapon pointed downrange, was clearing the weapon. There was a lot of things that were set out there, like he was cleaning it and was pointed at people. He was actually pointing it downrange at a clear range, and was clearing his weapon for whatever reason. He dropped the magazine. It didn't drop the one in the chamber. He racked it. The chamber, it did not eject. He had the accidental discharge with the weapon pointed downrange, and where this range is set up, there's metal shooting tables under the canopies at the long-distance range part of this. and the bullet struck the metal shooting table, and it ricocheted more than a 90-degree angle and came back into the canopy area and struck the 12-year-old girl. And it entered right above the belly button. It traveled around her left side and exited below her armpit, and it traveled up and around through the fatty tissue, never hitting any organs, never hitting anything vital. The doctor said it was the cleanest gunshot wound he's ever seen. She was absolutely just, it was a miracle.
Wow. That is truly a miracle for how far that bullet traveled and the way that it traveled. I mean, you would expect so much more, collateral damage when you talk about. I mean, especially, I believe you said this was at a range.
Yeah. So there was a lot of speculation out there that this was one of our training events, and what actually had taken place. The gentleman that had the accidental discharge, he was one of our members, and he still is. He's one of our members, and he went to a public shooting range in eastern Idaho. It's a very large shooting facility, very nice one. A lot of people go there. It's open to the public. So he went there. This was not a training session with us. It wasn't anything other than him going to shoot with some other individuals at a public shooting range, and it just was really unfortunate. He had accidental discharge. Could have been avoided. Absolutely, they always can be avoided. I know he felt terrible. He's taken a lot of heat on that. And the most important thing is he's learned from that. The 12-year-old young lady is okay. She recovered. She's home. She's good. But the other thing too is we're going to take the situation and we're going to implement better gun training, better firearm handling and firearm training within our organization, and learn from that and help educate people on proper handling of firearms. How to clear those weapons, how to handle them appropriately when you're not on a hot range, so to say. Yeah,
absolutely. Very, very important thing to always keep in mind. And I know back from my days of being in the military, they're very, very strict on us when we were doing our training as far as the range is concerned. You always keep that gun pointed down range, and you always, follow the orders of the person that's in the tower. So you never be an individual, if you will. And if everybody's on the same page doing the same thing at the same time, then that increases the level of safety. So, and that's what it's all about. And I remember we had a situation. I won't say the person's name on air, but we had one soldier, and he didn't do that. And I remember he left one in the chamber, and we went up to this female drill sergeant. He was right in front of me. And he ended up, I'll just tell you how it ends. He ended up being kicked out of the military because of this. We went up to the female drill sergeant, and he didn't clear, like I said, the one that he had in the chamber, but he had his magazine in his hand. And this female drill sergeant, she's laughing, and she takes the rod, and as people are walking up, she slides it down the barrel, make sure everything is good, and make sure your window is down, and all this other kind of stuff. So, and then you go about your business before you leave the range. So they're making sure you're not leaving the range with any ammunition, if you will, any live rounds. So she's talking to another drill sergeant, and she almost slipped up on her post and on her duties of what she was supposed to be doing. She sticks her rod into the barrel, and she says, "Oh wait, I didn't check to make sure that he had his thing pulled back." So she goes to look, and she noticed that his window I believe it was closed or something like that. But she pulls it back, and then the live round flies out, and you could just see, she got weak in the knees. She realized that if she would have poked her rod down there and that thing would have went off, that she could have potentially died. That rod would have came back out and shot her in the face, and with the bullet. And that's the importance of always staying on the same page, following the rules, and everybody has a part to do, way that they play their job. So I'm sure that the gentleman, that created that error in that situation at the gun range in Idaho, I'm sure he feels terrible about it. No one wants to shoot a 12-year-old girl. No one wants to do that, in their sane mind on purpose. So I'm sure it's like a tragic situation as well for him as far as, he's going to learn a lot about what to do and how to do it properly, the next time he's at a gun range, if there was anything that he actually did wrong.
Yeah, you always have to treat them like they're loaded. And, I've always taught my children, you don't point a firearm at anything you don't intend to destroy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That is absolutely right. I can't even tell you how, in the military, I have to give it to the drill sergeants. That's one thing they did not play about that. They did not play any games about that. When it came to us going to the range, they always had plenty of extra drills on duty that day. So they always had eyes on everything. That one drill sergeant, though, she was very affected by that situation. She went on leave for a little bit because it tremendously affected her. And like I said, that soldier, he was kicked out of the military for that. He was a little bit off anyway, I think I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that, but it was just a really bad situation, knowing somebody could have just really gotten killed, just that easy from one little mistake. So we'll be praying for her, and I'm very happy, glad that she went home, and in and out of the hospital. And like the doctor said, it was the cleanest shot that he's ever seen. So I'm very sad that she had to go through that, but I'm happy that she's home now and able to recover.
We were, it was certainly a shock, and it was just tragic, and we're so thankful that it happened the way that it did, and the result ended up the way it did. For such a bad situation, we couldn't have had a better result as far as how it ended up, and we're still in touch with the family and making sure all is well, and offering any support, prayers, and love. There's a lot of people praying for that little girl, and the way that bullet traveled, her angel was certainly there that day, and that bullet was guided by God to not do any significant damage. Yeah,
that's right. Because when they're that young, especially 12 years old, it's just their bodies aren't. They're still children. They're not even fully developed yet. So anything could go wrong or be a lifelong injury, and for that to go in that way and to have that kind of trajectory and not cause any kind of permanent damage, that is an absolute blessing, to say the least. So what I'd like to do is say, for these 4 individuals now out of your organization that have been rounded up on these various charges that are, just out of control, just this lawless government. You were speaking on earlier, before we close this out, something about helping out with these individuals and pulling together and possibly some donations and some support. Is there somewhere that, the viewers and listeners can go to support for, I'm going to say their names again, Eric Parker, who is the vice president, Stephen Stewart, Scott Drexler, or Todd Engel?
Yeah, so we're really pushing hard for donations, and whether it's $1, $5, $10 or more, every little bit is much appreciated. We have to step up and help these children, help these families out while these guys go through this difficult time. And if anyone's able to do so, it'd be greatly appreciated. You can go to our website, and that's www.iiipercentidaho.org. And across the top, we have a link for donations, and it's through PayPal. We're set up as a registered nonprofit, and we can take the donations right there and make sure it gets allocated to them. We also do need to make sure that these gentlemen have money on their books for commissary phone calls. Even making a phone call out of jail, even though it cost Eric Parker called me today, for example. Not only does it cost me to collect call type charges, but he's got to have money on his books to make those calls. So we want to make sure that they have money on their books so they can call their family and talk to their children as they go through this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Can you say that website one more time?
You bet. It's www.iiipercentidaho.org.
Okay, absolutely. And if they were looking in Google, what could they type in?
If you just type in 3% of Idaho, it'll pop right up.
Okay, absolutely.
And if you have any questions, if anyone has any questions, you can hit the Contact Us link there on the website. You can also go to our organizational Facebook page. If you jump on Facebook and search 3% of Idaho, our organizational page will pop right up. You can send me a message directly through there as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that you'll be taking close attention to all of that, especially in the light of this situation with all four of these guys being now arrested. So we're seeing the fallout of the Oregon situation, even though they're labeling it from the Bundy ranch. We know that this is the fallout of the Oregon situation. We know that this is the them taking a blow back, if you will, and it's a significant blow. It is a very significant blow. So now is the time to definitely unite, to stand together, and to say we see what you're doing. We're not going to allow it to happen. You're not just going to run around arresting innocent Americans that are living their lives and they're not hurting anybody. So, and giving them sentences that will take them from their children for the rest of their lives. So we have people out here in this world that are raping people, kidnapping people, forcing children into prostitution and slavery. Really nasty, vile individuals that are out here. And these guys continuously are slipping through, quote unquote, slipping through the cracks in the system. Okay? So when you start talking about Americans that are getting arrested just for standing up for the Constitution, and then they're going to get lifelong sentences, triple lifelong sentences, there's something wrong. And if you can't see that there's something wrong with that, I would urge you to revisit your thinking process and how you analyze things, because everything is wrong with that. So
absolutely,
we appreciate you coming on, Brandon, giving us some time and giving us an update as far as what's going on with the arrest. There was 12 arrests that were made as of yesterday. We do know that 4 of them have been your guys. We know that there's 2 other people that have also been arrested. It's confirmed they've been arrested, but we don't know who they are yet, so we're waiting to get confirmation on that. We'll, of course, be following up with you sometime here within the next week. I know that, I know your current position and your situation right now, and I know that you're also a little bit worried about, what's going to come next. You know what I mean? So keep your head up, stay alert, stay alive, and if you need any kind of a landline or anything, you now know this number. You can call this number, and if you need to get the information out, don't let them come take you away without you being able to get out the word to anybody. So that's what they've been doing to other people, and we're going to be praying for you, and you make sure you just keep your head up, brother.
All right, brother. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support. We have talked about a lot of, divide, if you will, in the movement, but I do want to say thousands and thousands of emails and messages of support and much love showed, and a lot of those are from the listeners on this show, and I just want everyone out there to know how appreciative I am and how appreciative our members and my organization is for all the support that's been shown, and every word of encouragement that's been sent to us is very much needed, so thank you.
Oh, no problem at all. You guys keep up the good fight, and we'll make sure that we keep giving you the platform to be able to get out the vital information that the people need to hear. So until the next time we speak, brother, you make sure you just stay alert, stay alive, like I said.
All right, brother. You as well.
All right, now talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.